Hi, Greg from Greg Jones Fishing World here, and today I'm going to show you another snapper rig, and this is for fishing with a dodge tide. And if you don't know what a dodge tide is a tide that just actually doesn't flow, so the ins and outs stop, and several times a year in certain parts of the world, particularly in South Australia and the Caribbean, there are a few days of our fishing season that there isn't any tide. So the idea here is to catch big snapper on lighter gear with light weights. So in effect, you basically set yourself up quite differently from what a normal snapper rig would do. You make a double hoop knot on the end of your line for a lighter sinker. In this case, you could use a little sinker like this with a swivel attached to it, or you could use something even as light as that as a sling on the line. I'm just using this one today for the sake of the demonstration, and like I said, this is for catching 5 to 7 kilo snapper on a tide that just isn't flowing at all. So you're out in the boat, when the tide's not flowing, the fish tend to go off the bite, but that's because a lot of the time we're not fishing for them correctly in the certain conditions of the day. So I set that up like so, trim off the excess line so it's nice and neat, and basically I've got the first part of my, I'll pull my false teeth out, first part of my rig already set. So a fairly light sinker. You could go lighter than that. That's just something I'm using, like I said, for the demonstration. And the trick here is a lot lighter line, and then when you attach one hook and one hook only, you attach a fairly large hook, something like that, which is about a 4/0, and you run it at least a metre above the weight. So if you throw it off the jetty or off the back of your boat, the whole idea of this is not to have the sinker hit the bottom. The sinker's got to be in, say it's 30 foot of water, it's got to pull itself off around about 15 foot of water, so it settles there in the slow tide, and the hook then with the bait wavers in the tide and flows as an attraction to the fish. People use braid and swivels and stuff like that. I tend not to. That's just my personal preference, not to say one's way is right or wrong. It's just very simple, and I set these rigs up before I go fishing, so I've always got them on hand. So put that hook on the line like such. Now if I hold this up, you'll see that it's the actual hook itself is just sitting there suspended, almost animated and suspended in the line. It's quite large, and you can see there's a reasonable amount of line, almost wider than I can stretch my arms, which would be close to 2 metres away. So you have a light weight at one end, like I've said. You'll have a single hook which you attach a large piece of, maybe a piece of fish flesh, maybe half a squid head softened, cut the tentacles off, and with the low tide, or the slow tide, the dodge tide if you like, the fish out the back of your boat, for example, as I said, it'll be 15 to 20 foot below the surface. You've got burley there to attract your fish, and the thing is not sitting on the bottom. So a simple rig, again, something that will catch you fish. I'm sure kingies will bite this, big mackerel will as well, tuna sometimes, but certainly for snapper it's a great rig to have. Tight lines.